Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever virtual Get Up to Speed with STEM event. We're delighted to be here with you today. I'm here with my colleagues Emily and Janice. So Emily, tell us a little bit more about what's in store for everybody today and throughout the week.
Well, you've all found your way onto the online platform. So on there's over 350 videos for you to get stuck in and have a look at from over 50 businesses showcasing their world of work. So there's lots and lots of content to take in, so just have a look around and explore. And then we'll be here live at 9, 11 and 2 each day as well, with a spotlight on a different theme each day. Today's spotlight on theme is medical, so everything you see during the live sessions today will be based around the medical industry.
That's great, thanks Emily, that sounds really exciting. So Janice, we've been involved in Get Up to Speed for the last 10 years, haven't we? So tell us how this year's different to what young people will have experienced before.
Well, it's always been live experiences. We've had young people coming into Magna Science and Technology Centre, and they've done everything hands-on. This year it's going to be the same, but it's going to be virtual. It's quite a new experience for us all, but in actual fact we didn't want the kids to start being left out because of the challenging times we've had in the past year. And actually it's in our 11th year, because last year we would have done a 10th year at Magna.
Sorry,
and unfortunately, John, it was cancelled due to the pandemic. But we didn't want to just not carry on and show the people that we're still here, and there's lots of opportunities still out there for everybody. And so hence we're doing a virtual Get Up to Speed, and it's a virtual experience for everybody.
Great stuff, thanks. So, and we couldn't do any of this without the amazing employers we work with, many of whom have provided content for this year's event. We're just going to go over now to Stephen Shaw from ASCL PLC, who are our partners in this year's event, and Stephen will tell us a little bit more about their company and why they've got involved this year.
Hello everyone, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Stephen Shaw and I'm the Group Engineering Director for ASCL. ASCL is a leading manufacturer and supplier of mechanical seals and associated equipment worldwide. But we're more than that, we're an environmental business, and we are proud to be a net zero business, and we help to save water and energy and make the world a leaner and cleaner place. We've always partnered with GUTS, but this year we're the main sponsor. GUTS is a great place to showcase your business, showcase innovation, which will help to fill the skills shortage in engineering and technology. It's important to promote STEM careers because there is a shortage of engineers. If we don't have enough engineers, we cannot solve the problems of the world, including global warming. Only engineers are able to solve these problems and give other people the tools to carry out this important work. I hope that students will understand what a great opportunity as a career engineering and the science subjects. It's the ability to change the world through engineering. Only engineers can really provide the solutions to change the world. I hope that you'll enjoy this week of virtual events. It's a little bit different from our normal GUTS event. Nevertheless, we felt that it's vitally important that it goes ahead. It is a way for us to encourage young people to come into the engineering and STEM associated careers. And as I've said earlier, that's a vitally important thing to do.
So thank you, Stephen. So I'm delighted to say now I'm joined by our guest presenter for the day, my co-host for the day, Jackie Freeborn. So Jackie, this isn't new to you, is it, to Get Up to Speed?
It's absolutely not, John. I was with you the very first time we did one, and I've been with you every year. So I'm absolutely delighted that you invited me back here as your guest speaker, because it wouldn't be the same without me being part of it. So thank you.
Absolutely, you're welcome, you're welcome. So you're still involved in Get Up to Speed, but tell us what you do for a day job now, Jackie.
Well, my job really is about promoting everything positive about Rotherham, all the employers, all the great parks and cultural places, and just talking up Rotherham, because we've got some amazing places, amazing businesses, amazing kids. And so my job is to be positive all the time. You couldn't get a better job, could you really, John?
No, great job to have, yeah.
And ASCL actually are one of our pioneers. We have a group of pioneers, businesses that help us promote Rotherham. So it was absolutely fantastic to hear all the great things that they're doing as well.
Excellent. So and this event is quite pioneering and a very positive event. So what are you looking forward to from today, Jackie?
Do you know what I'm looking forward to seeing the stuff on virtual, because as Janice has said before, we've experienced it live. But I think it's absolutely amazing that you've pulled this together with all these partners, a virtual platform. And I think you've got over 10,000 people going to be logging on over the week.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. And there is one good thing about, being in lockdown and things like that. We've got to be very, very interesting and very, very courageous with our technology. And I want to say well done to everybody that's been involved in this. And kids, you're just going to have an absolutely fantastic time. You'll see more on here, and you'll not feel it, as Johnny says, but you'll see more on here, and you'll see some amazing experiences and opportunities for you all. So that's what I'm looking forward to, John.
That's great. So let's crack on then and let's see how. So our spotlight today is on the medical sector. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hear from some engineers involved in artificial hip replacements and other body parts, and hear all about that. So over to our colleagues from Dupuy.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. My name's Charlie, and I'm also with my colleague Liam here, and we're going to be talking to you today about medical engineering. So it's a huge industry, and it's one that's often overlooked when it comes to careers discussions in the UK. So hopefully we can convince some of you guys to think about becoming medical engineers. So in terms of content, we're going to start off with a quick introduction of medical engineering. It's going to be very brief, but hopefully it should give you a good overview. We're going to show you a video after that, which gives you some examples of the kind of things you might fix as an engineer. And also, we're going to finish off with a question and answers panel with some of our other Dupuy colleagues. So we work for Johnson & Johnson, who are one of the world's largest healthcare businesses. We've got over 100,000 employees, and we sell products across the world in 175 different countries. But Johnson & Johnson's made up of three main areas. So you've got consumer products, pharmaceuticals, and medical devices. So a lot of you guys might recognize us from things like shampoo and other consumer products you might be able to buy in the shops. But that's only a tiny part of what we do as a business. So the majority of what we actually do is around pharmaceuticals or medicines and medical devices and diagnostics. So what me and Liam do, we work for a company called Dupuy Synthes, which is a child company of Johnson & Johnson. It's like a child company. And we specialize in fixing broken bones and mending worn out joints. So what is medical engineering, before we go into what we do in a bit more detail? So medical engineering kind of covers a massive array of different topics, but we put some different examples here of some of the things you might work on as a medical engineer. But in terms of definition, medical engineering is the application of engineering principles and design concepts to medicine and biology. So what does this actually mean? Effectively, it means using science and maths to help fix people and heal injuries. So there's a lot of different types of medical engineering, as I said. We've got rehabilitation, prosthetics, hospital equipment. So, for example, rehabilitation is helping people to recover from injuries or from incidents. Prosthetics could be replacing limbs or appendages that might have been lost. You can see in the bottom there. We've got tissue engineering, which is using animal tissue or 3D printed tissue to help replace the body's functionality. You've got hospital equipment as well, so everything from diagnostics to treatment. I'm sure lots of you guys would have had x-rays or MRI scans or things. So a medical engineer would have designed all the equipment that was used to get that scan. But finally, we've got orthopedics in the top left here. So this is what me and Liam and our other colleagues in the panel work on. So orthopedics is technically defined as, let's have a look. Orthopedics is defined as the correction of bones or muscles, but personally we specialise in correcting worn out joints mostly. So I'm sure that a lot of you will have grandparents or parents that might have had a hip or knee replacement. So you can see in the top there, it's a knee replacement. But why do they need to have their hip or knee replaced, or other parts of their body? So there's lots of different reasons. You could have a fall or a fracture, but the most common one is that joints wear out over time and they become damaged and painful, and this is called arthritis. So, for example, you can see here a worn out hip joint in the top left, and a surgeon has used a metal hip replacement to replace the functionality of that hip and get them back on their feet again. But it's not just hips and knees that we do, as well as hips and knees. You can see that in the top left and bottom left. We also do a massive other amount of things as a company. So I put a few different examples here. We've got shoulder replacements, and this is some spine screws. We've got fracture plates as well for trauma. So this is when you break a bone or damage it and it needs some help kind of staying in position while it heals. So you've got some trauma plate for a shoulder we've got up there, and some for the face and skull region as well. Even in the bottom left, we've got some finger joint replacements as well. Not to forget as well, power tools and the tools that help the surgeons actually put the implants in during the surgery as well. So we design and manufacture all of that. So I'm now going to pass you on to Liam, who's going to talk a little bit about the different jobs that you can do as a medical engineer. Thanks.
Thanks, Charlie, for that quick intro into medical engineering. Now I'm going to try and give you an introduction to all the different jobs and opportunities there are in medical engineering. To do so, we're going to take a look at this hip replacement. As Charlie explained, we help fix broken bones and repair worn-out joints. This hip replacement can be used to help restore motion and improve the quality of life for patients. So who do you think comes in contact with a hip replacement during its life? I'm going to give you 20 seconds to think about it. The first person you may have thought about is the patient. They'll be the person receiving the implant and who will be using it for a very long time. Next, you may have thought of the surgeon. The surgeon will be the person who fits the implant to the patient. During the surgery, other medical professionals like scrub nurses and anaesthetists help make the procedure run smoothly. Did anyone think of design engineers? If so, great. The design engineers will invent new products and tools which help surgeons deliver effective treatments which will improve the quality of life for patients. For the device to come into existence, it will have to be made. This function is handled by manufacturing. They use modern manufacturing technologies like 3D printing and computer-aided manufacturing to help produce the most cutting edge of designs. Then there is product testing. The testing team will take the product that has been manufactured and test it to make sure it has been designed properly, to make sure it is safe for the patients and the surgeons to use. But these are just some of the groups this medical device will come in contact with. If you thought of any of these groups, that's great. Now I'm going to talk to you about some of the other groups and people that you may not have thought of. The quality team work with design and manufacturing to make sure the medical device are being developed safely and comply with industry standards. Marketing work with designers and surgeons to create a product which is beneficial to the business's portfolio. Sales representatives work with surgeons and other medical professionals to give advice on products. During complex joint replacements, sales representatives attend the surgery to support the surgeon, using their large product knowledge to help the surgery run smoothly. The clinical team reads specialist literature and perform research to make sure the products that are being developed will be effective and safe for patients. Packaging are a critical part of the medical engineering industry. They help make sure the medical devices are being stored in a safe environment so that they can be kept as long as possible until they are needed to be used in the patient. Packaging also controls the traceability of our devices. Regulatory work with global organizations like the FDA in America and the BSI in England and the UK to make sure the products which have been developed comply with safety standards in countries they are being used in. There are many other groups and people who come in contact with medical devices to make sure they are safe and effective for the patients. And in each group, there are many jobs and roles and careers for people to explore. Wherever your skills lie, there is a job for you in medical devices.
So we're now going to show you a quick video that demonstrates some of the different ways that medical engineers can fix injuries. Just a warning is the video does, the man in the video does take a nasty fall, so it's quite a brutal fall down a step ladder, but there's no blood and it's all cartoon, so hopefully most of you should be okay, but feel free to look away if you're kind of uncomfortable about any of that. But as you watch the video, we want you to look and see if you can work out which body parts are being injured and which parts are being fixed by the medical engineers and the surgeon.
Wow, that was quite dramatic, wasn't it, Jackie?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's amazing just what modern engineering and medical science can do,
I know.
you know, to put us all back together when we do have accidents.
I know,
So,
it absolutely is amazing. And I think you've got a little bit of technology in you, if I remember quite rightly, John. So the face that you see in John is really got a lot of technology behind. Maybe you should tell people.
yeah, actually, yeah, and this is why you should always protect yourself. I play cricket, and I had an injury a few years ago where I got hit on the head by a cricket ball. And basically, the short story is that my head, now my skull is fastened together with titanium plates to stitch me all back together. So again, another great example of modern technology.
He's Iron Man in disguise, actually, kids. He really, really is. He's Superman. There you are, John. But it was fantastic to see all that stuff. So many great careers there as well, aren't there?
Absolutely.
You know, lots of things. I think when you think about engineering, you think about lots of things, but you know, design, medical, just amazing. I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of what's happening today, John.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to, obviously we've got lots of questions, but we've got young people, we've got some students who've joined us from King Edward's who have got some questions for our panel who've just put that presentation together. So over to the students from King Edward's to ask their questions. First up, Amy, would you like to start us off with a question, please?
Okay. My question for you is, do you think the design of the hip replacement will change over time? Is there any improvements that you can think would be made in terms of developing it and making it more efficient to the patient's body?
Yeah, definitely. Emma, do you want to kick us off with an answer for that one?
Yeah, definitely. So the hip replacement in terms of its geometry, the shape of it, hasn't changed a whole lot in the last 50, 60 years. What we're really seeing development in is materials. So it used to be a lot of metal, and now we're looking at ceramics and plastics, polymers that are coming into play, and also how the hip interacts with the body. So we quite often put a special coating on it called hydroxyapatite, and that encourages the bone to really grow up to the hip implant and really secure it really well. So we're looking at developments in how we integrate it into the body and the materials that we're using, how we make them lighter or more similar to the bony structure that's going on. So great question, and hopefully that answers it for you.
Definitely. Yeah, has anyone else got anything to add? The only thing I can think of as well as the kind of custom side of things as well. So because of new kind of manufacturing methods like 3D printing as well, it's kind of opening the door a little bit to being able to manufacture things that are patient specific and kind of fit for specific people. So I think that's going to be a really exciting area which continues to grow, definitely. Anyone else want to add anything to that? I think that covers most of it.
Great question now, Amy, to start us. Harley, over to you.
How much of the hip replacement itself is 3D printed?
I can give that a shot just to start with. So there's lots of different types of hip replacements, as you'd imagine, and a lot of them are made in different ways. So generally speaking, I think currently the majority of 3D printed implants that we make are the more patient-specific ones. So we can kind of target certain anatomies, and for example, if you're replacing the cup of a hip, say, you can kind of build it specifically for the patient's hip. So we've done a lot of work on that in terms of 3D printing, but that's still quite a small percentage of the implants we make. Most of them are made kind of using traditional manufacturing methods, but I think it's going to head very much in the direction of 3D printing. We're already working on a lot of other implants that are non-patient specific, which are going to be 3D printed. So it just gives you so much flexibility in how you manufacture them. Yeah. Hassan, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, also adding to what Charlie said as well, we kind of looking at the moment on the STEM side of it as well for the hip replacement to be more moving towards 3D printing. As Charlie said, again, the majority of the manufacturing is still with the old-fashioned manufacturing but is kind of moving towards 3D printing. That's the side of view I would like to add.
And I'd just add that what most of us in Leeds actually work on is the instrumentation, so the tools that the surgeon are using to put hip implants and knee implants into patients. So we're creating, they might look like a screwdriver or a mallet or a saw that you would find in your garage, but they are really specific to the job that they're doing for a hip implant. And we're definitely investigating 3D printing for that, as we're looking to make tools lighter, as Charlie said, more specific to patients. 3D printing is really coming into the instrument development as well.
Wow, lots of future developments possible. Thanks for that, Harley. Charlie, have you got a question for us?
Yes, so I'm interested to know how much of a person's body can be replaced with artificial elements before the barrier between organic and artificial has been breached, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's a really tricky question, and a very good question, very philosophical one. I think it's a tricky one. I'll probably be leaning on other people as well to help me answer it. But in theory, I mean, there's no real limit to it. It's not as if you get to a certain stage where someone's had 2 knee implants and one arm implant and a fracture plate, and you say, right, that's it, we can't do any more. So in theory, there's no limit. Obviously, every time you do one of these operations, there's going to be a risk of something going wrong, and also the lifespan of things as well. So something might last, say a hip implant might last 30 years, for example. So if you get one of those very young, and then you're going to need a replacement one, and then that might last another 20 years, for example. So eventually, as you go further and further along revisions, you kind of lose bone stock. So you've got less bone to work with in the joint. So that can be tricky, and sometimes you don't really see many more than kind of 2 or 3 revision operations before there's no bone stock left. But in terms of the whole body as a whole, it's I can't think of a set limit to what you can replace. I don't know if anyone else has got any input on that as well. It's a tricky one.
A little bit. I probably wouldn't say it's to do with how many replacements can you physically fit inside the body. The question would sort of lean towards what tangible benefit would it be to the person, and then justifying that would then become the thing that would be the limiting factor, not if there's any more room. Because if somebody had a hip replacement and knee replacement and then they were failed, they get another one, you would then start to be looking at, if we keep replacing, would that do any more damage to the person rather than helping them? Could they have to go through another full surgery?
I think sort of widening it beyond hips and knees, you can now get pancreas on a chip. So there are electronic computerized elements that you can put into bodies. So I think I would be hard pushed to think of a bit of the body that we can't replace with something artificial. You then get into the question of what is artificial. Are we just talking metal and plastic? Because we're now looking at growing things from stem cells. You can regrow heart valves and put them in. You can have implants that are in the body whilst the body's healing a fracture, for example, and they slowly dissolve and resorb into the body. So you can put things in that 10 years down the line aren't there anymore. So I think there really is no limit, and I think it becomes a really ethical question as to, do we just become heads floating in jars? Is that, where is the limit as to what life we want to lead? And really, what are we getting out of it? As Liam said, where's that benefit cost coming out?
Great question to get us thinking, Charlie. Ruby, over to you.
I was just gonna say, how did you guys actually get into into medical engineering?
Rebecca, do you want to start us off with that one?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing to say is that there's a lot of different pathways to get you into medical engineering. So you can take the traditional route, more traditional route, I should say, of doing A-levels and then going to university. And if you do that, probably the most obvious A-levels to go for would be maybe maths, physics, chemistry, biology. Yeah, maybe standard sciences, but I'd say that you're not massively limited at that stage. And then if you go to university, to get into that sort of career path, you're looking at any of the engineering degrees, so mechanical, medical, civil, automotive. If you can definitely start from that point and then take a different career path depending on what you find you like and what you don't like. And so if you haven't found it already, there are plenty of medical engineering degrees, biomedical, that sort of thing at university that quite a lot of people don't know of when they start looking. And then you've got the other ways of getting into the field. So you can do apprenticeships, and there are many in lots of different companies that do biomedical engineering, because it's a very wide field, and what we do at Depew is a small corner of it, really. So apprenticeships, I think when you've done your A-levels, you can probably get a job there and get training as you start. So that's the career paths I'm aware of, but I don't know if anybody else has. Oh, there's the you can do instead of doing A-levels, you can do like it was a BTEC, but I know somebody that did 2 years of engineering at A-level, and it counted for like 3 A-levels, all in one go, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. I just second that in terms of we have people like Rebecca says coming in from all different stages of education, from apprentices, whether they're graduates or PhDs, from much lower down in terms of quitting education earlier and getting straight into the industry side. And it's not always about medical as well. Like Rebecca said, we have loads of mechanical engineers that don't want to specialize that early on and want to kind of learn about engineering more generally, and then can specialize after their degree. Yeah, in terms of degrees as well. I mean, we have people working for us that do kind of data analytics, there's clinical sciences, even people that do art come in as designers on some of the projects to kind of make things work well from a human factors point of view. So yeah, there's thousands of different ways you can get into the industry. I don't know if Hassan wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that one as well, because it is completely transferable skills. Whatever you decide to learn, you can bring it to medical engineering. As both my colleagues, they said, you can do material science, you can do engineering, and then for example, for your masters, you can transfer it to more specific to medical. Or us in the test lab, we do have people that they do have electronic engineering background, to just assessing the instruments and their behavior and then running some tests on them. Is very wide area, so it depends on the area of interest of which part of the business that you want to get involved, either engineering side of you or medical side of you, or more you want to be specific about learning about human biology and then working with people, biomaterial engineers, that they are working the interaction of the material with human body. So it's very wide. So basically, whatever you decide to do, there's always a way that you can transfer your skills to medical engineering.
I'd say that, yeah, as Rebecca said, looking at A-levels, and if you want to go down the university route or the apprenticeship route, is really finding out what do you need. So most engineering degrees require you to have maths and physics. So I did those at A-level, and then I did geography and English language, because those were subjects that I really enjoyed and really loved. And so I had the requirement, that the ones that I had to have in order to go and do the degree I wanted, but I then also picked the subjects that I really enjoyed, and it was those ones that I did really well at. So it's finding something that you really want to study. If you're going to be doing A-levels, you're going to be doing it for 2 years. If you're going to be doing an apprenticeship or a BTEC, it's 2 years of your life. It's quite a long time to be doing something that you really hate. So pick something that you enjoy, and there are so many different routes in. If you haven't got the maths, there are conversion courses, there are ways to get into it. If later down the line you realise you don't have something that you absolutely need, there's ways to figure it out. You're not shutting any doors at the moment.
Some really great advice there. Thanks, Ruby. Lucas, I think you've got a question now for us.
Yeah. I think you already kind of answered my question with what you said to Ruby, but I was also going to ask, do you think that at some point in the future, hip and knee replacements, or just prosthetics and bodily replacements in general, will go beyond kind of helping people with illnesses and injuries and go into the realm of sort of trying to improve on the human body, giving us better range of motion than we already have just as healthy people? Or do you think that's too far off?
And that's another great large philosophical question. I can start us off and see if other guys want to jump in. But generally speaking, there's no reason why we can't design things that are better than the human body eventually. The question is more one of ethics, I think. Currently, medicine in general, and the ethics around that is around making people better, healing them, fixing injuries. I think as soon as you start going into the field of improvement, it starts to take on some very interesting questions, especially when you consider kind of who those improvements are going to be accessible to. Are you going to end up with kind of different classes across the globe where some countries have people that can run at 100 miles an hour and live for 200 years and other people don't and can't afford those services? So it's a really interesting question. I think it's more one for philosophy than for engineers, but I'll see if anyone else has any input.
Yeah, I think I think you hit the nail on the head there, Charlie, that it's all about the ethics and where do we go with that route? It's a really interesting question. And one of the things that we do as engineers, we're governed by the Engineering Council in the UK. And so there is people who discuss this sort of stuff. How much should we be putting our engineering and our skills into developing that sort of thing? So when you're picking even your field of engineering that you want to go into, you have those ethical questions in front of you of, am I going to go into medical and potentially work on things that are improving the body? Maybe you might be asked to do some things that you think, well, why aren't we helping countries that don't have access to this before we're trying to improve something else? Are you going to go into defense? Are you going to work on planes and weaponry that is used to help people and to keep peace, but also the not so nice side of it? Are you going to go into automotive? Are you going to look at, well, what's the impact on the environment? And is it all just about making Formula One cars that go faster? How is that improving humanity? Well, a lot of technology that comes out of Formula One ends up improving our road cars and what we drive. So I think whichever route of engineering you're going to take, you're going to have that philosophical, ethical question of what do you want to use your skills for? So yeah, keep questioning. I think it's a great question to ask. I don't have an answer, sorry.
Right, we're getting really deep now, so thank you for that. John, I think you may also have a question for the panel.
How long would you have to stay in engineering to do something like big in biomechanical engineering?
It's an interesting one. Do you want to start off, Hassan? And we can
yeah, sure. Well, it's again following what Rebecca said. It's basically it depends which level you want to get to be working in the medical engineering field. You can be a technician with the standard high school, and then after that some college or apprenticeship. You can be a technician of a machine and operate a machine, and then which works in our manufacturing. Or if you want to be more advanced and working in engineering side, then you have to be looking at between 3 to 5 years of university for engineering course. And then if you want to follow it for the master, then normally master course are about a year. And then it also depends if you want to have some industry experience in the between of your education, higher education in university, then you need to include 1 year of industry, which again, it will gain you some skills and learning few things in industry that it could benefit you to find a job after you graduated from university. So it's again, the options are varies. Is about how much you want to learn and how much you want to advance your knowledge to be able to work in the field. If you want to be someone that just run a machine and just perform a task that is being given by a senior, then you can get to that level fairly quick. But if you want to be someone that applying their opinion and then helping to improve our products, then obviously you will be looking at minimum of 4 years or maybe more than that to get to the level that is acceptable to have some opinion on the products and the performance of the products.
Yeah, I think I had a qualification in that in terms of, I think you're right. I think most people that are going to be doing the academic side of things, particularly in the research, will have a degree of some kind in the field. I know a lot of people without masters that are part of the company that are involved in all those kind of activities. And there's also, like we said before, there's loads of other routes in terms of apprenticeships as well. So lots of people that won't have a degree that will get into the industry early and learn a lot of the practical skills very quick off the bat. So while everyone else is kind of writing essays and going to lectures, they're actually learning the practical skills and picking those up early. So there's lots of different routes, but like Hassan said, yeah, I think the traditional, I guess what you'd call it, is 3 years plus a master's for some people as well. Some people even do PhDs and things as well. So I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add to that.
Yeah, I was going to add to, there's some people who will do the university degree and then maybe a placement year and then discover that working in the industry isn't for them. It's to the market and the actual products, and they will be more concerned with the research and the actual minute science about how it all works, and they'll decide they want to go do a PhD, and then they'll become a researcher. And there's that role to how you get into the industry as well. And the research which comes out of universities massively helps the industry as a whole progress.
I'll just mention the one career path I think we've not talked about so far, is that you can start work, and different companies might sponsor you to do your degree, and you can do work and your degree part-time. So it'll take you a lot longer to do your degree, but you'll get the industrial experience at the same time. So I don't know if you can do that with a standard degree, but I think you probably can with a master's, and you definitely can with a PhD. So you can work and learn at the same time, and that might suit some people better than others.
Yeah, so that comes under our higher apprenticeship scheme, and that's nationwide higher apprenticeship. So you've got standard apprenticeships going in at sort of just post-secondary school level age, and then you've got higher apprenticeships, which is going in at university level age, and working, as you said, working and gaining that degree at the same time.
Some really useful information there. Amy, I think you've got another question for us.
I just have a question about, in terms of the future, do you intend to make your products less damaging to the environment? Is there any way you can help the world become more friendly to the carbon dioxide produced by the factories? Is there any ways you've thought about that and thought of reducing that effect?
Yeah, I can start off. Oh, sorry, did someone jump in?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I'm happy to take that question. Yeah, as a company, you can play your role in sustainability and reducing your carbon emission in many ways. So a few examples that we do in our company, that's something simple. We do collect the water that is collected from the rain, and we just use it in our tap. So we're reducing our water that we use in the company. And secondly, we can work on our packaging, using less plastics for the packaging of the products that we are sending to the market, or even making our supply chain more intelligent, that from the production line to the hospitals that eventually our product's going to be, to reduce the number of transportation that they do require to get to the final destination. So these are the things that our company is working really hard towards it to make us more sustainable.
Yeah, and we're at Johnson & Johnson, we live our engineering lives by a credo, and the environment and the world that we live in is one of those paragraphs that every decision we make, we have to consider the environment. And one of the things we're working on, as I said, we make instruments and the tools for the surgeons, and we're looking at how we can make those lighter, because they're reusable, most of them are reusable. So how do we make them lighter so that the transport is less, so that you can fit more in a pallet, so that you're doing less flights or fewer shipments, fewer lorries on the road. Looking at how these things are cleaned, as Hassan said, how they're packaged. It's the whole life cycle. And then what do we do with them once they're finished, once they break, once they're at the end of their life cycles? How do we get rid of them? How do we do they just go to landfill? Do we recycle the materials? There's loads that we're, as Hassan said, we're trying to do and improve the environment through that way. So yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic question, Amy. I think we're running short of time now, but just time for one more. So, Charlie, you've got a final question for us, I think.
Yeah, I was just wondering, in terms of what we've been talking about, in the sense of in the future, artificial limbs and things becoming more performance based. I was wondering what your opinion, sorry, hang on, I stumbled a bit, but in the terms of kind of the medical engineering industry, what's your kind of opinion on Elon Musk's new Neuralink thing, and could that be a thing that ends up being used more widespread throughout medicine in more for things other than just like streaming music and like? So sorry, I haven't worded that very well, but
no, that's absolutely fine. I think the point of the question comes across. Yeah, it's a very tricky question, a tricky one to answer as well, in terms of commenting on obviously other companies' specific devices and things. But I think more generally, I'll preface it first by saying all of us aren't experts in that kind of technology. We're very much orthopedic specialists. But from a philosophical standpoint, I guess it's one of those technologies that I expect will evolve. There's going to be regulations, hopefully, and there's going to be a lot of work done around the ethics of it and what people can't do. But at the end of the day, technology does advance. So it's going to be an interesting one to look at and see how we can make sure it's advancing in the right direction. Don't know if everyone wants to make any comments on that.
Yeah, I think we were talking earlier about different technologies, and you mentioned, Charlie, in your question, different elements being used in different ways, and I think that's where it will be really interesting. So we look at how we can gather data from our implants. Once an implant is in a patient, we don't know what's going on. So is there something in way data is transferred that we could use that on our implants, and it could tell us if something's going wrong, or how a patient is behaving, and getting them involved in physiotherapy and their recovery journey, for want of a better word. So I think it's definitely interesting, definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on in the future.
Yeah, I think to sort of build on that collection of data, it's definitely something that's being picked up in the wearable tech market as well. Because I think one of the new smartwatches has an ECG monitor in it, and I think that's been found that it's able to detect heart problems hours before the patient or the person would be detected that may be experiencing heart failure. So aspects of that and technology shrinking is definitely going to allow the medical industry to collect more data, which will be able to inform products and hopefully improve patients' lives.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. To adding into that as well, sorry, Charlie. It's like for diabetes people, when they do detect their sugar level and insulin in their body, is a technology again that they can detect it without having a medical expert with them to detect that, and then kind of showing them that is the right time for them to basically add the medicines that is required for the body to perform normally. So these kind of technology will definitely allow the patients to have better quality of life before they get to a catastrophic failure that it requires for the patients to be admitted to the hospital.
Yeah, definitely. I think with our implants, it's a really good point with wearables. Definitely, I think a lot of the work we do is trying to work out kind of draw correlations with how well people are recovering from our implants, and look at kind of how much function have they restored. Are they going off on walks, or are they still sat still a lot? And I think wearables and making use as well of the technology that they've already got. So phones have got a huge amount of technology built into them. Is there ways we can use apps to monitor people before, rather than bring them back into hospital every time? We can get them to answer surveys on the phone. We can look at how much they're walking early on in the procedure, and we can use that data to tailor our implants to help improve recovery that's really fast, rather than longer term recovery.
Thank you. Some fantastic questions and equally brilliant answers.
Wow, John, some absolutely fantastic questions there from students. Some great people to employ later on. you know, their minds and all those fantastic questions. Amazing. What can we look forward to next? I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, following on from that, Jackie, we've got we're going to actually see in the next session at 11 o'clock. We're going to see an operation of a hip joint, and we're going to listen to a surgeon talking about just what's involved in that operation. And again, we've got some students who are going to ask some follow-up questions, so something to look forward to. So that's back with us at 11. If I can just say a huge thank you to the team at Dupuy who put that video together and answered all the questions. And such knowledgeable answers to the questions, and of course to our young students from King Edward's, who again some amazing questions, getting some great responses. So we'll be back at 11. Jackie, we'll see you
can't
then.
wait.
Sheffield is home to an advanced manufacturing park, and the area as a whole has a key role to play, I think, in our aim of making the UK the best place in the world to do science.
The North Star, the St Paul's Way Summer Science School and the Well North Enterprises Partnership encourages innovation and opportunity to inspire your generation. Our vision is for the UK to become the best place in the world to practice science, technology, engineering, arts and maths.
Landing checks. Undercarriage. Down 3 green. Plates. 4,200 green. Fuel. It's good. We've got 13,500 pounds. Landing lamps. Can go out, I suppose. The flashing arrival. Can't be panels. Yeah, no.
Gaining qualifications is a key stepping stone to future employment.
It's important because you never really get these opportunities in life, and it really helps with your future more than you think it will. On your CV, your confidence will improve a lot. From these 4 days, you can see a difference between everyone you've met.
But qualifications alone do not guarantee success in finding, keeping and progressing in employment.
I think it really helps young adults to develop their skills and become more employable to help their future careers.
Our Summer Academy gives young people the opportunity to gain key skills and attributes that employers are looking for.
Personally, I think I've gained a lot of confidence, self-esteem, and that will definitely help me out in the future. Plus, I've also learned how to write CVs, which I didn't know before.
Our week-long, fun and interactive programme is designed for students aged 14 to 18 who are keen to get a head start.
I have more knowledge about jobs and how things work, especially engineering.
Join us this summer and discover the world of work.